Warm greetings, good evening. Welcome back to the second session. Just confirming that everything is working well. Just you can maybe write in the chat if you can hear translation. We'll start with 3 minutes of a transmission from Madhavan.
अभिषेकन में सभी मैं परम धाम निवासी श्रेष्ठ आत्मा हूँ। इस स्मृति के स्विच को ऑन करो और कोई भी स्मृति नहीं हो, कोई बुद्धि में हलचल नहीं हो। अचल
Welcome back. Finding these drills, these reminders, these sessions, like bringing back that experience of the original state of the soul. And yesterday's, like Baba was talking about, powering down this stage of complete simplicity. And within that was reflected on the people of light and their state of not having any needs, and that being beyond harm emphasis, and the foundation to like bring in different ways and different nuances of this. And it came in the morning reading today. This is like a foundation of the spiritual life. is this security and happiness. And this aspect that got brought yesterday about giving, based on research and positive psychology, the science of happiness, sharing that givers are the happy ones. So if we are feeling the stability, fullness, then it's just a state of wanting to give. But the secret was to give in such a way that there's not this condition of a return or invested interest. And then it will work, the formula. And then that practical idea to have 10 seconds where you give respect to the passing soul that you might be walking past in the street. You're seeing the role and the coordinates of this brother soul. So the giving and acknowledging that they are also in this truth of being beyond harm. And also I found helpful that anthill happiness is blocking the eagle. So we can turn that round, and the eagle happiness will inhibit the temptation of the happiness from the anthill. So it's why it's very important to bring this spiritual happiness and its friends. So today we'll be hearing a little more to develop our own training on this subject. So looking forward to hearing from you, and handing over to see if Prashant would like to start now.
Thank you. And hello and good evening. Also would like to encourage more faces on the screen, and then it becomes more interactive and more interesting also. Yesterday we touched the subject of inner happiness and outer happiness. Everyone wants to sell the outer happiness, and we saw how to explore that supersensuous happiness, the inner happiness. And surprisingly, the 4 subjects, Gyan, Yoga, Dharana, Seva, somehow they get connected to this. We of course know, the knowledge, so anyone has more information, more knowledge of anything, there will be more happiness. There will be more success. Spiritual knowledge is the highest. You understand the truth. It has connection. In other words, one who is having wrong knowledge, he will be more deceived, more confused. So knowledge has a connection, and we will see the subject of yoga. Yoga is directly going there, digging deeper. Dharana, what is seen in studies also, that people who are having conviction virtues are happy people. And a conviction means not just many people got virtues, but there are some who are known in history also for their character and a certain virtue. Conviction, they will compromise their comforts, for what they consider as a principle or truth. But in studies, it is seen these people are happy people also. So dharana, definitely. Dharana, we are defining it differently also. It can be very superficial, the understanding of dharana. But if someone understands the high principles and holds on to them, and there is a conviction behind this, then it has connection with happiness. And 4th subject, seva, service. we saw yesterday, if it is authentic, if it is coming from the right space, then it has the results, instant results, what we saw yesterday. And we also said the more people have to experiment with this language is used by the science world. More people need to experiment with giving, to experience the magical nature of happiness. Means disproportionate, the wonder feeling, the bliss feelings that come. And this is like the magical results. To experiment with this, you have to do something that is extraordinary. And many people are doing, giving. Christmas is full of giving, but may not necessarily create in them that super sensuous happiness. But if you do something that is extraordinary in that, and we said there are certain experiments we can, we gave it as a homework also. Now let us come for a few moments of silence. And here, right now, it is like a reset for us. We use the best intellect. Why do we do this? Because we need the soul to become conscious. Let us start checking if the soul is there at all. Soul that is conscious is a big thing because he sees things completely differently. Soul that is conscious, he sees himself as a tiny, tiny point here right now. Understands his form as a tiny point, and that he is just a temporary visitor here in the physical world. He sees complete independence from the whole physical world. The way he sees it as a story, he sees complete independence from Prashant. He finds it absurd to think that anything in the story is connected with him. Tiny point. For him, to be immortal is normal. He knows his world is subtle and eternal and unearthly. That is normal for him. That his world is of silence. That is normal. He knows he is beyond harm. This whole physical world can just disappear, and that is not going to harm him even the slightest. He knows this, that he is totally beyond harm and he needs nothing from anywhere. That's why he's carefree. What happens when anyone is carefree like this? He sees everything as a gift. Every moment appears like a gift. And some noise is a gift, and sound and music and silence, everything appears like a gift. Variety of personalities and people. The invisible soul is like the invisible observer of this. And amused by the grand nature of this physical world. Invisible soul, beyond this world, he knows his world is a disbelief. He belongs to that family, God's family, where everyone is noble and divine, and everyone is immortal. Everyone is lovely and loving. Life with God and world of God. Such is his life. Forever. World of joy and love forever. That's why the world of disbelief. We call it yoga, but you are getting a feel of what the life is of the soul that is conscious. Even for 1 minute, 2 minutes, he is conscious, he understands. This is not a little slightly better management of problems. It is like winning the biggest lottery. Understanding that you have won a lottery. This is why Baba can speak, like if you read today's Murli, every moment is new, every moment is rich, and you are celebrating every moment, all the time. And that is the life of one who is conscious. Then it is a confluentiated celebration if someone is conscious. We use the word disbelief. If someone was to be told, if we were told that it is possible to have a life where everyone is good, always, not pretending to be good, everyone is authentic and good. If there is a city where everyone is good, there are no problems of any kind, even the slightest problem, no problem society. Will you believe that it is possible? I told you will be happy forever. Everyone is loving and it's a region of love forever. And on top of this, it is immortal. You are going to be immortal, never die. And all your life is like this, where there is happiness and love and contentment, and no one needs anything, and no one wants to cheat anytime. Even once, there is nothing of this kind. And life with God. Will you believe that something like this is possible? Or you will say this is just some imagination? It is majority, it is like a bit disbelief. The life of the soul that is conscious, what we call Paramdham, supreme home, that dimension, that reality is such. And our idea of yoga is this. Our starting position, seed reality, is this. It is timeless and it is alaukic. It is not at a physical level, alaukic, but it is immensely benevolent, immensely positive, happy world. Our starting position is happiness. If I ask you a question, why people are searching for happiness. If there is a program arranged where you experience anger, anger experience workshop, then not many people might enroll for that workshop. If there is a workshop on happiness, many will come. A workshop to get depressed. Psychologists literally say these are just different emotions. They don't say happiness is necessarily something. These are all different emotions, chemical reactions going on. There is some contentment and discontentment, just different chemistry. At least there are some people who say like this. But deep inside you, and if you go to some remote island, in a Bonaire, if you go there, you might, and I ask them, what they want. They want happiness. If you ask someone in Northern Hemisphere, they want happiness. You go to the South, everyone wants happiness. Why? Question is this: why people want to experience happiness and not obsessive compulsive disorder? Or they are not looking for experience of anger. What is the reason? What do you think is the reason?
Response so far, they have tasted happiness before, back in time. It's the quality of the soul, and that's been lost. It's lost the true happiness, and soul experiencing this true nature with happiness, and its original nature. It's there already, deep feeling of well-being, and it feels good to be happy. We say sometimes with anger that we are besides ourselves. So it's like not being oneself.
Yeah, that very good. Putting in other words, we all have a reference. We try to re-experience what we have experienced before. As an example, say if you experienced certain kind of mango, and the next time you come to the same town, you say, maybe I want to have that mango. If you have never tasted that mango, you will never say, I want a mango. If you have never tasted it, it will not come from your deep inside and the desire to re-experience. That is a reference required. So there are a few things that we all are looking for. We want to experience them. And that includes happiness is one of them. Another is immortality. We don't accept death. We want to be immortal. And there are reasons we experienced immortality. So let us see our map, our complete map. Like that in this image very much. And we also saw that this is the home of the family, father. So when we were in our truth and we are conscious of ourselves, and when we had not crossed this dotted line into ignorance and gone into that confusion in the world of camel and elephant, when we have not done that, then deep inside we knew, something that we highlighted yesterday. We knew never a beggar, never a victim. You need nothing and no one can harm you. There we said these are the two things everyone is trying to address all their lives. Our starting position is we need nothing for our existence. Soul that is conscious is experiencing this. He needs nothing for his existence. He exists eternally as an alokik being. And when anyone is experiencing like that, what happens is there is a silent contentment. Feeling of absolutely being secure. Feeling of silent joy, being carefree. Beyond harm. It's just like a child feels carefree, wants to jump and he's not thinking, whether will I get my food. If those worries are there, then he will not be, carefree, feeling carefree. He will not be thinking about playing. If he feels there is no security at his home and you don't know what is to happen next minute or next hour, then he won't be playing. But if there is some security offered, then he wants to play. There is feeling of carefree, feeling joy. But what we are emphasizing here, when this beggar and the victim is removed, then he is not thinking in a complicated way, try to get something. These aspects of greed and manipulation and pretense and lying, cheating, all those tendencies become zero. Or the only reason for those tendencies can come, even in 1%, those tendencies can come only when we have crossed this line. And when we have crossed this line, what happens? Ravan's department starts. And Ravan is still trying to experience the same thing. Ravan is trying to experience happiness, peace, contentment, love. But with his, distortion, he's like Ravan is the embodiment of perversion. So he is trying to experience this, but within this world of camel and elephant, he wants to feel secure here. He wants to be immortal here. And he wants to be loved over here. He's just trying to experience everything that was already experienced in this new situation. Now, what happens is, to start with, he cannot be immortal there. He cannot be secure there. That is an unpredictable world. So he's trying to achieve something that is impossible. And so all his life is trying to achieve something that is, its foundation itself is flawed. We are talking about 100% of the personalities of the present time. All are trying to achieve this with that, confused foundation. Starting position is confusion. And then they are trying to get, more gold and little bit more fame and little bit more and a little cake, bigger cake. They will try to achieve that starting position, and they never get it. So these are all successful people that you see around, all the celebrity magazines and leaders that you see. These are scholars and they write books. They are all in this state. It is like the Ravan-based society, Ravan community, Ravan's kingdom. It is laughable. If you are seeing from Paris, you see what is going on. But no one is questioning this. And even if they may agree with it, next minute, Ravan takes over again. Such is the situation. We may clarify it and they may agree with it, but next minute they will throw it away and Ravan takes over. Because everyone is caught in this trap where they have to protect Ravan. Here by Ravan, I am also meaning ego here. Ego is in charge, and ego doesn't want to remove ego. This is like a trap everyone is in. So they are looking for happiness, of course, and their idea of happiness is give a little bit bigger hat to one ego, a little praise to another ego, bigger cake. All the 10 heads of Ravan, they want happiness, and they experience happiness when you feed them. And the head gets bigger as a result of your, mercy and cooperation. The head gets bigger. And as the head gets bigger, he wants more. So you are also in the trap of that other person's Ravan or your own Ravan. Feel free if you want to add anything. So the big step for you and for anyone, big step of courage is to come on the other side. That is worth congratulating. It is, even with the knowledge and all, this is not a common thing to come on the right side and make the right effort. That is not so common. As we said, forces of this Ravan are very, very intense. They want you to come on this side. And then if you are doing ego-based spiritual effort, there is no problem. You can do 8 hours per day. Ravan has no problem. If you do 1 minute of accurate practice, Ravan will find way to distract you, keep you busy with doing something. You run here, run there. You have to change something. I'm speaking of the factors, and within that, if you are creating that quality time, congratulations. And because that is where the success is. Let us create a few minutes now of this attention. What, sometimes someone asks a question, what does it feel like? What does it look like? Right now, if we are coming in that space, that point, soul as a point, and he is invisible incarnate in this physical world. He understands things differently. Soul, he sees this whole physical world as if it is a cardboard world of cardboard dolls. Very aware that everything will be dismantled and disappear. Very aware, Prashant is part of that cardboard world. Everything will be dismantled and set alight. He is aware of it. Invisible incarnate. He has no interest, not 1% interest in that cardboard world. This cardboard world has got nothing to offer to him. But he is very fond of his alokik world. Very fond of his true father and true home. Very fond of his true family. They are very dear to him. That is his only family. And that is his only home. Invisible incarnate. Why is he visiting this cardboard world when he has no interest? He is aware of his invisible brothers visiting this cardboard camp. Aware that his awareness, his attitude, his vision can be of great value for his invisible brothers. They are deceived in this cardboard world. And they have to be freed from that deception and revived. And that is his happiness. That's why incarnate, he is the invisible incarnate. As we continue on our journey, we have the option to stay with this perspective of the invisible incarnate. During those seconds, minutes, the soul is conscious. Is the invisible incarnate happy? Invisible incarnate is the invisible prince. Is the eternal prince. He knows of that big prize, alokik, an eternal prize. He knows what is possible for everyone else, what they can experience. No one on this planet, no one can have a higher quality of life than the invisible incarnate. Invisible incarnate knows of his life with God, knows the worthiness to know God, to belong to God, and be loved by God. Beautiful secret, he knows the beautiful secret, and the secret is everyone is the prince. They all are from the family of the King of Kings. They all are lovely and belong to him, belong to this great family. That's why he also knows the task is easy because they are already the princes and they are already angelic. So task is easy. All that is required maybe is light. And the real issue is confusion there. And darkness of ignorance. And where the problem is of darkness, light has the answer. Light wins. If there's a darkness and there's light wins. So the invisible incarnate knows the guaranteed success. He is not there in the cardboard world to fix that cardboard club. That is not his priority. He is focused at another level. Thank you. It will be nice to hear some thoughts from you.
Thank you. It's just thinking about each of these different heads of Ravan that is mad, bad, sad, helplessly because of this predicament, are all demanding happiness. So we have to tolerate that and not give in to the threats of that particular identity, and at the same time use that those seconds to come to the happiness of this invisible prince, where everything is in place. I think it takes a lot of discrimination because the arguments from Maya to give in to feed the happiness of Ravan is some kind of clause. You need stability, you need XYZ, and then you can make your effort in terms of stabilizing Ravan, but it just makes Ravan more secure. And so that was one thought that came. There's a question here: if a beggar, in terms of physical beggar, is without basic needs such as shelter and food, is it easy for such a person to go up the spiral and be so conscious?
Yes. The question of this kind will come to you, in different form, but a similar question. And the way I understand it, and what we have also observed is these are like a parallel issues that are going on. As an example, say Freddie wants a job, and of course everyone wants a job. Freddie wants a job. Freddie wants food. But Freddie also needs to breathe. He needs air also. You don't tell him first you get a job, then you find food, and then start breathing. No, he continues, a parallel going on. He's breathing, and that will, that is in place. If the breathing is having problem, that has to be addressed now. And then let him find a job and let him find food also. Same, we see, and Baba sees the spiritual life is as central as breath. If his soul himself is unconscious, it is not, rest all is a case, and at some point I will address the soul. No, it says that it has to be in place along with everything else. It is parallel. And that will complement, making effort at this level doesn't deprive you from looking for food or looking for the job. But what you will also observe, here we are saying someone is a prince. Why do you want to delay him, of discovering the prince? Otherwise, it can go on. It is not that he finds bread and then he will immediately come to find spiritual. No, Ravan takes over. He wants the bigger cake, and he wants that will go on otherwise.
I hope that helps. Feel free to share on the feedback. There's a question, if I've understood it correctly, how to not deceive ourselves in this pursuit of happiness and the effort to manage this emotional state. How to not be dishonest. We might even use this practice, seeing the happiness of the soul, and kind of get into it almost like a repetition of the words, but it may be that it's not genuine. Any thoughts? Does it make sense? The question.
I'm going to repeat the first line.
Well, this is because it went through a translation. I'm just hoping that we've kept the meaning. But how to not deceive ourselves in this practice.
Sure.
Spiritual happiness.
Yes. As was said, deception to be expected. The Maya and Ravan wants to take you into some other direction all the time, constantly, and not to be too innocent about this. But whilst all that is going on, create these minutes of the quality practice. Create minutes and minutes of quality, steps. That is why this language that was used, use the best intellect, best sight, see the physical world for what it is. We use the language cardboard. And why we are using this cardboard and some radical words, the whole thing is going to be dismantled. Ego doesn't like this language. Ego wants to have a party there. It's nice language, spiritual and holy, but party. He wants to create a little club within that cardboard world, a holy club within it. So you're stopping that. You are saying this whole thing is going to be dismantled and put alight. By using some language, you are stopping the ego, and that all of that favors the soul. Our big success here is bypass the ego. Even for 1 minute, you are bypassing the ego. It is success. And now you are giving yourself the chance of the soul becoming conscious and What else can you ask for? Even for 1 minute, soul is conscious and happy to be that point. Totally happy to be free from this whole physical world. Understands Prashant is part of that cardboard world and going to disappear. Very happy with that. And he's totally happy to be the point who has got nothing to do with the cardboard. His world is alokik. So you're creating this environment where the true soul, and there is all other options are closed. Otherwise, what happens? The mixed, the language that we have. We use the word soul, 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 and if something is mixed there, the ego likes that kind of mixed bhaji. And then it becomes ego-based effort. And it gets worse. Ego will make it worse. And then you lost both, both camps. Instead of soul consciousness, it is some kind of a ego-based happiness of some kind. But when you are keeping it clean, keeping the soul, again, some language, invisible, incarnate, just a freshness. We have to think of different words, different language. Then there is more alertness inside. Otherwise, it becomes a bit like a repetition, as you said. You just use some commentary and you are seeing this perspective of the invisible, incarnate. And he needs nothing from anywhere. He can't use anything. And so if you are feeling happy at that time, it is only super sensuous. It is not coming from the cardboard world. During those seconds, during those minutes. And once you have got an experience of it, that experience is of immense value. You don't forget the experience. It is like we give this an example of the insect and the eagle. You experience the sky, you experience the eagle. No one can prove you that sky doesn't exist and the eagle doesn't exist. You're experienced. And then all that's required is creating more minutes and more seconds and play with the wings.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned about the distraction that can come from the identities, Ravan. So can we use the same tactic, but the other way around, where it's like, whether you call it distraction or engagement, keep a kind of constant interest in this alokik, a kind of as a tactic. Otherwise it's like a tug of war, isn't it? We're either being distracted one way or pulled or distracted another way. It feels like something very active needs to happen because of the old habits which are pulling us back.
Yes, sure. If you are coming to the soul experience, as we played with it, whatever language you use, but soul, that point, and his perspective, He said his world is of disbelief, and life with God and world of truth. You are getting those experiences, and then he's seeing this physical world as it is. It is this moment is a gift. He knows it is all going to disappear also, but this moment is a gift, and next moment is a gift. You have experienced it. That is enough. Each time you are coming back to this, you are experiencing those feelings. These are the original nature of the soul. We never get bored with it. You can come back to this point and the soul, and 100 times in a day, you will never get bored. The language you may get bored, but the experiences you will never get bored. So somehow such is the nature of it. And within that, there is the ocean. You don't feel, oh, I experienced it this morning. You don't feel that way. You feel there is some newness. Like in Baba's words today, not just new year, not just newness every second. It appears newness, even though you are experiencing similar feelings, but this is a new moment and new experience. You don't feel it is old. And that will lead to other realizations and other ideas. That is, you are coming to the ocean, and in that ocean there is truth also, there is knowledge also.
I really like that.
If you are asking how to maintain this enthusiasm, that is the way to get this enthusiasm. Yeah, please continue.
I kind of missed the last part. So to get the enthusiasm is this exploration of the ocean. Did you want to?
Yes. Coming back to that soul, and essentially the coming to the point and coming to the ocean there, and each time you are playing with it, it will lead to new ideas and new enthusiasm.
It's a good reference point that you can never get bored. So if there is that feeling, we have to go for this accurate. And you gave earlier this method to come to the incarnate view. So you're not mixing it. And nice to know, yes, language we can get bored, but experiences you can't. And a couple of questions. Does that mean that the prince does come into action, for instance, in situations of distractions? I don't know if you understand the question.
Situations of destruction.
Distractions.
Okay. And the world is constantly, there's so much going on in this world, and the soul does come in this world of merry-go-round, but if he is having attention, as long as he is soul conscious, he is not distracted. But if that attention is less, the ego is the one that is constantly waiting for the chance, and the ego has interest in this. So until the time, we are karmatit, ego is constantly waiting to cross the line. And there is he's interested in things of the world and can get distracted. The powers and all come into play. We need to use these powers so that we stay on the right side of the line.
Question here. Would you say that it's more important to experience than to understand the knowledge? I came through a translation, so it might not be exact.
Understand. It's a good question. Experience helps you understand, so they are complementary. Understanding knowledge helps you towards experiencing, and experience helps you understand. I won't say one or the other, both. But I might put extra emphasis on coming into experiences.
Yeah, thank you. When the soul conscious experience develops, is it possible, are there ever situations where there is not happiness?
Happiness, one factor when we use the word happiness, many people might have different ideas of happiness, what happiness means. Because in the Ravan's world, Ravan's happiness appears to be the happiness. But bottom line, when you find the treasures, there is happiness. That's why at a physical level, they're collecting gold and collecting, and they think there is happiness in it. One who is that invisible incarnate, he feels he has got the best, and he has got every aspect at every level forever. This is what he feels. We use this sketch, draw this sketch, but deep inside he knows that he has got the best, including the best family and the best home, but refined treasures. He already got the contentment, and he already got happiness, and he has got a world of love, and he's secure. He knows he got every aspect, every level, forever, and the best. That feeling of fullness can be called happiness. Silently, that intoxication of. Another thing that happens here in this soul who is awake, his happiness is in happiness of others. He knows others are also full. That is what he knows. They all belong to him. As opposed to ego, ego is in some kind of a competition, or some kind of a comparison with others, at least with some, Whereas the soul who is conscious, he feels everyone is from the same family. So there is not a feeling of comparison. He is happy that everyone is good. Everyone is lucky.
It's an interesting question, because sometimes the feeling of emotion or release can come up when the heart is touched by something in the drama, and it can appear positive because it's like a re-experiencing of something which makes us feel alive, but there can be melancholy in it, there can be a sadness in it. So that is not the soul conscious experience. But what would you say that is? If it's clear, like for example, something beautiful like a song or art, it touches the heart, but there's a sadness within that as well.
It is called elation, and not necessarily sadness, but something heart is touched, and you might feel have tears or something like that. The word used is elation in psychology. Some release, but what we are doing here, more we move at a soul level, then everything gets divinized. There will not be melancholy. In this journey, the invisible incarnate and soul and God, in this journey, everything, you are not losing. The feeling is such, you're not losing anything. Or yesterday was nice, tomorrow we don't know. Those feelings are not there. It is going to increase. Everyone is going to win, and everyone is going to come closer to God, and everyone is going to be more happy. And the truth itself, final score, is of immense success. Universe is benevolent and positive. Bottom line is this: universe is benevolent and positive. And so there is, everything is okay. There is no the real reason for melancholy.
I think sometimes it's when it's a reference point for something lost at the drama level. So it's mixed with the false notion of self, because it's a drama-based, having experienced something here, but not getting the bigger map of the unconditional and eternal scale of the potential of happiness. As you said, it's it's like perverted, and we have experienced even at drama level, but the healing of the soul is coming to what is eternal, if that makes sense. Shall I read another question?
Yeah, sure.
So connected to the discussion on experience, if we are giving emphasis on experience rather than knowledge, is there a risk of an experience being based on inaccurate understanding of knowledge, and then that experience can lead to further inaccuracy in understanding knowledge?
Yeah, that is why I said it is not one or the other, both. That is what we had emphasized there.
Great, thank you. So there aren't any other questions, and maybe a few more minutes before we might take a break, but if you have anything to...
Yeah, just want to touch one more aspect in this. And we have seen the wonder of the truth. Everyone is lucky, everyone is a prince, each and everyone is being of happiness already, and they are loved by God. Truth is immensely beautiful. But when they have crossed a line, what has happened to all of them at the present time? There are real issues. They are in bondage. All these princes, they are in bondage. literally slave, to that physical world in the drama. They are confused. There is ignorance, so they don't even know they are in bondage. There's confusion. They have reached such a level, they are not even conscious. They are unconscious. That's why no one is running. If there is a God comes and God is telling, we want to give you freedom, and no one is running because they are not even conscious. And what is the fourth issue? This invisible prince, and I'm talking here all the family princes. So the prince is in bondage, he is confused and unconscious. And what's the fourth situation? His enemy, which is the ego, is in charge of his life and mind. Enemy has become the master of his life. So when you are talking to someone, the enemy is in charge. It is a bit like someone's house is taken over by the enemy, and those enemy is receiving the post, and he is answering the emails, and he is dealing with, and that enemy himself you want to remove. Such is the situation with 100% of the population. When Baba comes, this is the situation. And this enemy is looking for happiness. This 10-headed monster is looking for happiness, and he is setting up clubs and his, places, takeaways. So that is, life is going on easily, good life for the enemy. What you are doing now is so radical in this situation. You are, what Baba is saying, Baba is pro-angel. He's not a pro-ego. He's the enemy of the ego, enemy of Ravan. He's 100% friend of the soul. Baba has said sometimes in the Murli, you are each other's enemies. You are your own enemy. It is, and that is the way things are. Enemy is running the mind and taking decisions. But in the midst of this, Baba is the friend of the soul. He's there, looking for chance to revive this soul. Now, this is also your help to the souls of the world. And it is our duty to the souls of the world. To know this, there are lots of, everyone wants some outer, superficial, time. And you are saying, I want to reach this soul, that is unconscious. And how will he become conscious? Through your attitude and vision during the minutes and seconds when you are conscious. To understand this, the invisible incarnate, if that is the language you could relate to, invisible incarnate who is visiting this physical world and understands the cardboard world is going to be dismantled. Aware of the brothers, invisible brothers here, aware of their greatness and aware of their presence. During these seconds, minutes, you are creating light to your brother. You are cooperating in a big way, helping him to become conscious and discover his sky, discover the prince. You are not giving some superficial happiness of some distributing cakes, but you are helping the eternal prince wake up. The whole thing may be silent, but that is of great value. We gave the homework yesterday. You may be going for a walk and people are walking past, there are people everywhere. Create this 10 seconds where you are acknowledging the soul. Simple language, but because you got this conviction inside and you know what it means, it has power. It is not a superficial soul and you're more interested in his shoes, but you know what the soul means. An invisible brother, there is conviction and clarity behind. And that light will reach the soul. And in Baba's words, language of the soul reaches the soul.
Mm.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I like the analogy you sometimes give, or it's given, that if you send an email, then it's in the inbox. But it may not be they open it immediately, because it feels like we need to suspend our disbelief, because it's extremely powerful, but yet the soul isn't conscious, so we can't expect immediate elation or recognition or response, but yet that is significantly powerful, that is received, but just that the consciousness, if Ravan is dominating, that is the response that comes at a conscious level, but underneath soul has the option to open that message, if you like. Does that make sense? Or do you want to say anything more about that? Because that can be useful to know in this process of reviving first ourselves and others.
Yeah, very, very, very clear. It is what that image analogy Sarah used. If you send an email, 100%, it has reached. It reaches the person. He will find it when he opens the inbox. Same here. You create thoughts and your vision, your attitude. They have guaranteed results. They reach the soul. And the process will start, the journey will start. But forces are in your favor, because truth is with you and light is with you. So good luck. I know we are making rooms and there's more discussion. Meet after the rooms.
Yeah, the question I have for you, Prashant.
Okay.
Would you like to suggest something to help facilitate the discussion?
Yes. The big subject we addressed here is how to come in the quality experience, and quantity will follow. We want quantity also, but let us start with quality. So it will be nice to have further discussion on this.
Okay. Yeah, something just to spark the discussion. So we just put that in the chat. What are your thoughts on quality experience? And we'll open up and meet back soon. Thanks. Hello, welcome back. Hope we didn't cut any conversations short, but you had a really good chance to connect on the subject. And take maybe a moment to get into the super sensuous happiness behind and before all the roles and all this conversation. Thank you. I would love to hear what was new in the conversation that perhaps sparked off at a personal level from this discussion, because this it's nice to think of what it is that brings us to that quality, because it feels like from the discussion, if we have a really clear reference point of this original happiness, we're less likely to get deceived by the distortion of the mixed kind of effort. And I love the way it was building up the feeling of the wonder of this. And this is the yoga of that parandam experience that is so beneficial, so positive, and so freeing and healing for the soul. And the contentment that goes into the richness of this type of original happiness. And then it was nice how it became so clear that if we've lost that, we're looking for these experiences at the drama level, and how much complication it leads to, because the premise is, for a start, there's no immortality. So it would be great, happy to hear your sharing. And meanwhile, we'll have a few more sharings, and also there's a question for Prashant from before the rooms. So let us know when you want to take it. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. First, let us come to some experience. It is fun to play with this. Anything that is of value is bound to be radical. Even to see ourselves as tiny points, this is immensely radical. And nothing else. It is a point that is visiting this world. And that Total simplicity. And this big message we hear, forget the body, forget bodily relations, because that is all part of the story. To be loving, we have to come out of that ignorance. And just accepting this is a radical truth. And the true family is at another level. We are using this intellect because we are using paras, it appears normal. If we use patthar, then it will be just a meditation experience. And then we go back to our old rut. That is where my house is, that is where my people are. If I'm using paras, the true family, they all look like tiny points. And they all are angelic. They're angelic princes. And family of God. God loves them. They belong to God. And this whole dimension, life with God and world of truth and world of immortality just becomes alive. We are talking about seconds and we are talking big thing. That's why who can have a higher quality of life than this? He doesn't need to go and buy fireworks for this. And that is alokik. But when he sees the physical world, that becomes another extraordinary gift. Every moment is a gift, and body is a gift, and sound is a gift. That is the way he sees. All that has happened, it is a perspective from the soul. And when you are in that space, automatically you are not in the ego. Another language of bypassing the ego that is used because ego wants to make the spiritual effort. And to recognize that and then going for what is real, then you bypass the ego during those seconds. We say we will not become free from ego on the first day. To become free from ego is a big achievement, but we can bypass the ego on the first day. It is with that context that language is used. Yeah, happy to hear the question or any comments.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for clarifying this bypassing ego practice. Couple of questions. The first one from the Portuguese group. So, is there happiness in the incorporeal world? Because the understanding from the Murli reading is that the incorporeal home of souls is beyond happiness and sadness.
Yeah, sure. As we are mentioning, the nature of the soul is happiness. Nature of the soul is contentment. It is within the soul, as if, and same thing applies. Love and lightness and peace, it is all within the soul. So wherever he is taking it with him. And when he is in the soul world, of course, that is with him. Now, there is another factor. it is immersed and it is merged. And like someone may have enough, lots of loving, but right now he's not, he's busy with something else, and love may be merged. But loving nature remains, but that emerged experience may not be there. He's not singing song right now, but another time that experience may be emerged. So something similar happens. When we are in the soul world, things may get merged, but the nature of the soul is happiness. When we are experiencing seed stage, in a seed stage, you are not in the soul world. You are here, but experiencing the soul world. That time, the whole thing is immersed, and you're experiencing that full wonder of that alokik reality, during the confluence age.
It feels like a really important point that it is in a way, the speciality of confluence age is to emerge. And so even when we're actually there, it won't be as necessarily, it's alive for us now, and that is the important aspect. Question, looking at the cycle, is the golden age, could we say it's symbolic in a way of the consciousness of souls? Souls are awake there, but it's not literal. That's the way the question's written. I don't know if that is clear.
Yeah. If the language of gold symbolic, maybe in the language gold. In Sanskrit, the word golden age, that is not emphasized. Satyug. Satyug is age of truth. That is emphasized. But I tend to feel there will be lots of gold also. It is more than symbolic. But people are not attached. They are in their alokik intoxication. So gold comes and gold goes. They are not worried about this.
Yes, could be like a cultural thing, a reference at the time that was the symbol of something desirable, but in today's cultures in the West, it might not have that same, give that same feeling. But that's helpful. Any comments on that? Happy to hear. There was just a comment saying appreciating, enjoying the reminder, the realization that we can always donate light, even when we're not able to give anything at another level. But actually this donation at the subtle level, others will receive everything that they wished for. So it's just a comment. There aren't any other questions if you want to share anything. And then after that, we'll have we always have transmission from Madhavan.
Yeah. One area I want to touch, and we call it ego crunch. Our whole spiritual effort is having these two areas. Be holy and be yogi. So on the yogi side, you are coming to the truth and God and soul. You are flying, and that is great. But be holy, which means you are stopping Ravan in a Ravan's department. So all the disciplines and all, they are there for Ravan, restrain Ravan. They complement. More you are stopping Ravan, it becomes easy to go to Ram. More you are experiencing Ram, you get strength to stop Ravan. So they complement. But it is like a We don't say just Ram Ram and then you are ignoring the Ravan's department. The attention on both fronts. That is our confluence aged journey. In this, if you take any step that is directed against Ravan, you will find instant happiness follows. People think if you deny Ravan, you lose happiness. Of course, Ravan's happiness is lost, but you instantly get alokik happiness. So in any level, you can experiment with this. It is not you will get happiness next day, not a happiness in the golden age. The reward, of course, is guaranteed. Your karma change and it has its reward. But this is something instant happiness. If you take a step, even a decision, you have taken a decision and you're very clear, it is a step to stop Ravan. Some Ravan's interest, Ravan's attachments, Ravan's indulgence, lust, you are just taking a step that this is going to go. You will discover instant happiness. It gets replaced with instant happiness. Because Ravan is the only eclipse that blocks this wonder of the soul. And whenever you take this step, you show courage or whatever, that is the reward that you experience. Because a little bit of eclipse is removed. And that helps you discover your own greatness better. And that helps you to take further steps. So it is a nice positive spiral that happens. If you want to take it further, we call it ego crunch. You take a step against your own ego. You have to think about how to do this. Sometimes we have workshops on this, but I am leaving it to you at this stage. But take a step which is very clearly directed towards some specific clear ego that you have seen in you, and it is aimed to, normally people don't like anything of this kind. They like to feed their ego, even as a spiritual student, they would rather like to hear praise than criticism. Here you are giving a little bit of a bitter medicine to Mr. Ego in yourselves, not anyone else's ego, your own ego. And you will find there's an instant replacement with alokik happiness. It is like 100% of the time guaranteed return. Maybe I'll stop there. Another homework for you, that the ego crunch homework. But it has a happiness element and progress. So it is definitely of value.
It would be interesting, like what comes up for you on this. Feels like example of maybe the identity around a particular role or status. So we're telling ourselves the relative insignificance of the role in that particular area, that no one is indispensable. It can be anyone else, and who cares? Nobody speaks to the part, in this case Sarah, and is totally ignored. And what's the problem? Something like this bitter medicine. Is this what you were sort of meaning? Is an example? Something to reflect on, maybe. I find it is like a homing missile, very targeted, very helpful, because it just diffuses and gives a chance for something much, much more congruent with our true nature can come alive. There is a question here. I don't know if you want to just comment on that before we close. Not connected to this topic, but if someone is ill, will they catch our good blessings from our meditations?
Yes. You are creating atmosphere, you are creating light, and light reaches wherever there is need, light reaches, and it will reach wherever there is need. Yeah. But we are not promising, to fix the physical illness. That is not our aim. But we create light at a deeper level, and that is what we know the guaranteed results at that level. Once that happens, physical level, things fall in place. But we are not saying that things will be fixed today because you are creating light. But we say the spiritual side, the process, healing process, starts today with your light.
Also, I like sometimes it's the emphasis, it can be like 10 seconds of quality, and then other aspect can be a focus. So it's not that we're necessarily just focused on one situation or individual giving quality, but there are also many other aspects for our focus. So anything else you want to add at this point? We have experiments and ideas for workshops already, but
yeah, we'll go to the experiments. Yeah, and
so
encouragement to come to the quality, and as we've been underlining, no one can have a higher quality of life than the one who is conscious. But all of that applies only if it is done accurately. It may be for seconds, maybe for minutes, but we want to come to that space, which is unadulterated soul consciousness. That is the homework.
So it's good homework. Carrying on with this theme of the core qualities, this time was happiness. The next topic is on true love, and it will be end of August, 1 month, about 1 month's time, 27th, 28th, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. We'll send the details on email if you would like to register. To finish now with transmission from Madhaban Bapdada. Thank you all.
अभी 2 मिनट के लिए सभी परमात्म सत